Hi, my name is Brian, and today I want to warn you about a terrifying scam that almost cost my 80-year-old and her entire life savings. Imagine this. You're on your iPad, and suddenly alarms start blaring, flashing red warnings pop up, and a message screams, "Don't close this window. Call Apple support immediately." My aunt believed it was real. She followed the instructions, called the number on the screen, and the scammers convinced her to withdraw $30,000 in cash, money she was about to hand over the very next morning. Thankfully, I caught it in time. But not everyone is that lucky. She's smart, she's tech-savvy for her age, and she still almost fell victim. If this could happen to her, it could happen to anyone you know and love. So stick with me, because by the end of this video you'll know exactly how these scams work, the red flags to watch for, and what to do if it ever happens to you. And if you find this helpful, go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss future tips that could protect you and your family. Now picture this. You're sitting at home, maybe scrolling through your iPad, when all of a sudden, a big pop-up takes over your screen. Loud alarms start blaring, red warning signs flashing, and the message says, "Your device has been hacked. Don't close this window." Feels terrifying, right? You think, "Oh no, someone's inside my iPad." And then, right there on the screen is a phone number. It looks official, like it belongs to Apple support. The message tells you to call immediately or risk losing everything. But here's the truth. That pop-up is nothing more than a trap. It's not Apple. It's not real security. It's a trick designed to scare you so badly that you don't stop to think. The louder the alarm, the scarier the message, the faster they know you'll pick up that phone. And once you call that number, you're not talking to Apple. You're talking to a scammer. Here's how these criminals work, step by step. First, the victim makes the call. The pop-up flashes a number, and thinking it's Apple, she dials right away. But on the other end, it's not Apple. It's the scammer. Next comes the fear. They tell her that her credit card has already been hacked, that her money is in danger, and that criminals are using her accounts. The goal is to shake her up, so she doesn't stop to think. Then comes the so-called solution. They tell her the only way to protect her money is to pull it out of the bank. To them, this sounds perfectly reasonable in the heat of the moment. Now, the isolation trick. They warn her not to speak to anyone, not the bank teller, not her family, because her phone lines are being monitored. This is a classic move to keep her silent. Finally, the big grab. They tell her to take that cash and hand it over to a fake authority, sometimes a U.S. Marshal or an agent. And just like that, her life savings could vanish. Scary, right? But knowing these steps means you can spot them before they succeed. Now here's where things get really scary. My aunt actually believed her phone lines were being monitored by the so-called authorities. When I called her just to check in, she whispered, "I can't talk right now. They're listening." That was my wake-up call. Something was very, very wrong. I didn't waste a second. I got in my car, drove straight to her house, and when I walked into her kitchen, my heart dropped. There, on the table, was $30,000 in cash. Her entire life savings, ready to be handed over to a total stranger the next morning. I looked her in the eye and said, "Auntie, you're not talking to Apple. You're not talking to the U.S. Marshal. You're talking to scammers. She froze. She couldn't believe it. These criminals had her so convinced, so scared, that she almost lost everything. And here's the truth. If I hadn't called her at that exact moment, that money would have been gone forever. Now, let me tell you the biggest red flags my aunt missed, and ones you should never ignore. First, those scary pop-ups. If a window suddenly flashes on your screen with alarms blaring and a message shouting, "You've been hacked," that's not Apple, that's not Microsoft. That's a scammer trying to scare you. Second, if the message says, "Don't close this window," guess what? That's exactly what you should do. Real companies never trap you on your own screen. Third, anytime you see a phone number pop up on your device and it tells you to call, don't. Big companies like Apple, Amazon, or your bank will never put their number in a random pop-up. Fourth, if someone tells you to take out cash, buy gift cards, or move your money around to protect it, that's a huge red flag. Real banks and law enforcement do not work like that. And finally, if they say don't talk to your family or friends, that's the scammer's biggest trick. They know the moment you tell someone, the whole scheme falls apart. So remember, pop-ups, phone numbers on your screen, cash or gift card requests, and being told to stay quiet. Those are all warning signs you're dealing with a scammer. So here's the part you need to remember. If a scary pop-up ever flashes on your screen, making noises and shouting that your device is hacked, don't panic. Just take a deep breath. Then, close the window or simply restart your iPad. 9 times out of 10, that's all it takes to make the pop-up disappear. And listen carefully. Never ever call the phone number that pops up on your screen. Apple, Microsoft, or your bank will never send you a number in a pop-up. If you do need help, use the official number printed on the back of your credit card, or go directly to Apple's website. Here's the golden rule. If anyone tells you to withdraw cash, buy gift cards, or move your money to a so-called safe place, that's not protection. That's a scam. Period. And one more thing, don't carry that burden alone. Always talk it over with someone you trust. Your son, your daughter, a close friend, even your bank's customer service. Scammers want you to stay quiet because the moment you share it, the whole scheme falls apart. Remember, slow down, breathe, and double-check before you act. That small pause could save you thousands of dollars and a whole lot of heartache. My aunt was lucky. She didn't lose her savings, but many others aren't so fortunate. Please share this story with parents, grandparents, or friends who could be at risk. Stay safe, stay informed, and remember, when something feels urgent and scary, pause, breathe, and double-check before acting.